Oh yeah, he did. Yeah. So I guess what was the
You
very
you
first thing
guys
that happened? Oh,
you guys
Castor.
got wall force.
Yep.
Yeah, which we found out when Castor fucking like donked his dome on the invisible wall. It was invisible, right? I think it was.
I'm
Um,
gonna change the music.
because he was about
This is
to
not recap music.
fucking charge Maven. That would have worked out well, I'm sure, for him. So
I don't think it was a case of like, oh, I'm thinking ahead, I can win this fight. It's just like, no,
no,
fuck these people.
emotions ran
Listen,
high.
if it were anyone in the class, it would be Castor that has the best success rates.
Yeah.
What's funny is, to me, like Gregor was fine until the force cage came up, and then it's like, okay,
It's like, hey, where's your faith in me?
What?
In us. But to be fair, I mean, they were totally in the right.
Oh, 100%.
Katie, you
I
weren't
think
here
I
last
think
time, right?
Castor's actions validates immediately the use
Yeah.
of the wall force.
Most
The rest of you
capable
being
person in
caught
our
is
group,
just a icing on the cake.
I thought it was kind of funny that the only three people that weren't in the cage at in our class anyway, was Flora and Carolyn and Rex. Which, you know, yeah, good choice. But yeah, they basically said, hey, okay, emotions are high, but if you guys want to say any final words, now's your moment. And then we totally didn't say our final words before they started like burning Clint's body. They did not want to wait, which fair.
they basically were like, you have a moment. Okay, nobody said anything. Burn him.
Give him one word.
Well, I don't think he was saying like final words that Clint could actually hear. I think it was more just final words of like, I don't know, to a dead body. Double
Yeah,
check the
alright,
circus.
You guys have a moment to say your final words. You're already burning the body. Well, let's be quick then. What the hell? But yeah, we were stuck in that force bubble
Clint's
for
just screaming, just ah.
he's not. He's dead. For 10 minutes. We did sort of. A lot of us had some kind things to say about Clint. Obviously the orphanage boys took his death probably the hardest. Aside from Castor, who's, you know, he's a half elf, so emotions run high naturally for him. When the force bubble went away, one by one, we each kind of got up and shuffled our way back to Christine Hold. At one point, Castor started staring down Commander Donner, or just Donner. We don't really know he's commander. And started reaching for his weapon. At which point, Lucien sort of bumped into Castor and sort of brought him out of his not reverie. I think that's like a positive thing. Out of his stupor, I guess.
Good word.
His
that's when,
rage haze.
Yeah, and that's when Jericho also noticed that Ghostface Killer guy. What's his name?
Oriel.
Oriel, yes. Noticed that he was sort of getting in position behind Castor, Lucien, and Jericho, ready to, you know, probably kill us if Castor tried anything, or at least incapacitate us. But regardless, we were the remaining three of us there were ushered back inside the Christine Hold, and immediately kind of requested to report to cleansing, but it's the kind of request you can't refuse.
I mean, Gregor asked Donner if that was an order, and he was like, yes. So,
oh, for sure. Oh, absolutely. 100%. So yeah. Cleansing was long overdue. It was easy enough for most of us. I think we were in there for like 2 weeks tops. Except for Erica, who started what started happening to Erica? Like right before she was brought in there?
Oozing black
She was
goo
going
out of her?
insane.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
I
was
think
going
only
batshit.
Clint knew she was going to inject herself to get out of stuff.
Self-induced insanity for memory loss.
Where's the
Uh,
calculator?
Yeah. So she's still in there, as far as we know.
Yeah, I think it was said that like we all took up 2 weeks. She's gonna be like a month.
They had to get creative with not really creative.
Try different
But
methods.
like Jericho doesn't eat food normally, so instead of being starved, they did a sort of bloodletting thing, sort of serve him that way. Gregor requested that his hand be amputated, his weird sort of freakish hand.
Yeah.
The claw of Regaldon, is that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But Ezekiel was basically like, yeah, no, that's there to stay. It's a part of you now. Just make the best of it. Pat on shoulder. But yeah, after a few weeks, we were brought out of cleansing, returned to the bear. I don't think it would take a lot to get one of his gut punches back, but at least for
Give
this
him a few
moment, he
weeks.
realizes he knows what you guys are going through.
Yeah.
We have a grief pass.
Yeah.
Because honestly, he's probably gone through it more than enough in his life.
Mm-hmm. Is that all you guys all happen at the graveyard?
Yeah. After Riker said his piece, Bradford either didn't believe him or did not care, and made that known. Riker's just like, "I'm not gonna try and convince you. That's not my job. I'm just sorry. That's the truth." And then he takes his leave. And he did also clarify, like, don't tell the other classmen about it, the underclass.
Right, of course.
Just to kind of cover his bases. We kind of knew, but like cover your
kind of a
bases.
running theme. Don't tell the underclass.
Kinda. Yeah.
And that more and more.
You have to indoctrinate them better. And then Lucian wanted some cornbread soup, so we went and did that.
And while you guys were off at the graveyard and then coming back, Jericho went looking for Castor, who was noticeably absent in the barracks. Found him around the back. They talked some. Jericho did his best to kind of uplift him, and it ended with them just kind of sitting in silence, looking up at the overcast sky after a pretty nice heart-to-heart. I think that was my favorite moment of the last session for me.
Yeah.
And then what did Gregor do something?
Yeah, he asked Ezekiel if he could have the amulet Clint had from the Sanghelia.
Right.
And he went and gave it to him, and then gave him a talk about shepherds and their flock or sheep, and then what you have to do if there's a sick sheep. And he could have just been talking about Clint, but the way Gregor interpreted that, it was also about him.
Mm-hmm. And then after that, sort of fast forwarding a day, the next time Gregor awoke, the amber was gone, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Perhaps returned to one of its previous owners. Probably Martin. Or the angel that gave it to him. I don't know. Who cares? What happened after that? I think we were at that point. We were gathered up by Riker.
Yeah, Riker assembled us,
and he basically told us, "Hey, we're doing the underclassmen are taking the leap now, in 3 days' time. So, I'm delaying it as best I can. If you guys want to talk to them, any of them at all, now is your chance. This is your final chance. Also, there's a cool dude coming, who's a Black Ranger and Clint's new character. He didn't say that part. I'm paraphrasing.
Clint's new character. Damn, Clint is like in the afterlife playing D&D with Martin.
You know what I meant. You know what I meant. It's gonna be helping
that rig D20.
It's going to be helping with the underclassmen's leap. So look out for that guy. I guess. Also, he's going to be French. I don't know how Riker knew that. What happened after that? Oh, when Riker started walking away, Jericho ran up to him and just started talking to him about Maven. That's a personal thing; doesn't need to be talked about in detail. And then after that, he made us clean the barracks. In classic Riker fashion.
Gregor got a sick line in on him in relation to that.
He echoed Clint's words back out.
Yeah. Is that when Sebastian came in?
I believe someone spoke of Naya.
Oh yes. All right, Bradford.
I would say that's probably one of the more important parts of that session.
Yeah. It started with going to talk to Poe, because, like, he would know his sister best, presumably. So, let's talk to Poe, tries to kind of get some more information on that situation, and just more and more discovers that Poe has no fucking idea about this at all. And with a fucking natural 20 inside check from Poe, he's like, oh god, Bradford's not kidding at all. Like, deadpan serious. There's some dragon shit around Naya. So he decides, like, stay right here, big brother, and just goes and gets her. And in the most Poe move, literally just scoops her up, runs back over while being smacked in the back of the head, and just drops her off and says, I didn't think this far ahead. And it's like, I love Poe so much because he's such a fucking gold-hearted moron. Yeah, so he drops her off, and then we try to kind of, with words, pry her open a bit, which kind of works, but I feel like it's more being mildly assaulted by her brother, as he basically says, do not talk shit on Halbjorn, or I guess the dead in general. But she was talking some pretty mad shit about Halbjorn specifically. And as much shit as she was flinging at him, he flung it right back in her face, and she's like, oh, I'm being an asshole. And more than that. He chucked her in the water. He took his leave. Like, you are handling this. Oh, hey, the background changed. Anyways, sorry, distracted. Yeah, threw her in the water. Told Bradford, you're handling this. Bradford's like, yep. And then they had a very long conversation about, I guess, just who are you, what are you trying to do, and what are you trying to be. Like, you're already changing. Are you gonna go with it, or are you just gonna deny who you are? Because you know in your blood there is something. And she ends up dipping down underwater, and from the sounds of it, having a little bit of a conversation with the great deep serpent. And there's like this cool fucking fire and water like kind of dance with like steam and shit. It was so well described. I'm gonna do a complete disservice. It was fucking cool. Like, the visualization was fantastic. And she ended up coming back out of the water, kind of just knowing herself a lot better and realizing I have a lot of apologizing to do. And Bradford gained the new role of mentor. Bradford has no idea how to do this. Help.
Just do what Esmeralda did. Wing it.
Ask the people that have trained people before.
Yeah. Oh, that reminds me. At some point, he needs to message Esmeralda and be like, okay, I get it.
The question is, how will you do that? Like, it's not like we have this, like, we don't exactly have a sending stone to Esmeralda.
Yeah, there might be someone around that can help with that, but that's not like top priority thing. That's something I'll think about
Best
later.
bet is Sister of Light Rayla before she leaves.
Probably. But I think we have a certain ritual to go through first. Yeah. Oh, also, I looked back in the video. Fun fact, when I'm doing like a scene or something, like role-playing, I don't notice the chat. I'll hear the pings and I won't read it. And I looked back at the video and saw everyone just spamming like collar worm, like, do it, coward. And it's like, okay, I'll stick that in at the end. And I think
don't let me in on that.
And that's where that scene ended. She went off to go start apologizing, and Bradford just kind of sat in the water. And then I think it went to someone else named Sebastian. Or what did Seven call him?
He said, "Hey, guy,"
Bella?
or like, "Hey, you," or something like that. Yeah. After that, Ranger Sebastian entered the Chrysantine Hold. He saw Watchman Caster first praying. I don't know, really praying necessarily. Actually, kneeling in front of the founder statues up front. He asked him where Commander Donner was. He told him, Commander Donner will probably find you before you find him. Asked who he was. Gave Sebastian the heads up that, yeah, the compound's a bit down right now. Sort of wondered why a ranger was out here. and got some info on that. But Sebastian took his leave from Castor, although Castor did still seem pretty down. Commander Dar did find Ranger Sebastian. He gave him the the rundown of the place, like, hey, here's the place. When you're bringing that Dark One here, we'll get the Sister Light out of here before you bring the Dark One here for obvious reasons. Stuff like that. But once you're settled in, check in with Captain Riker for, the I want to say assignment, because I'm not really assignment, but like the help you'll be doing around here. Good. Commander Dar has made a few words, so Sebastian was like, all right, sounds good. Walked around the compound, ran into Jericho, who was carrying some sickle stope blades, and he, in typical Jericho manner, is like, "You know how to work this?"
He's like, "Good, I can. You know how to use Smith's tools."
Unfortunately, Sebastian doesn't. But they talked about the place, Sebastian's presence here, Jericho's vampirism. Goddard did come up and was like, I will be joining you in due time in the Rangers. And it's like, it's pretty cool. He's a pretty cool kid.
Fucking confident.
A kid, I guess? I don't know how old Goddard actually is.
I think he was like Logan's age, right? Or Logan's.
Yeah, well, he's like 13.
He's not human, though, is he? He's like
No, he's a gnome?
He's a gnome, right? So do gnomes age at the same... They don't, right? They're like longer life, right?
Yeah, they reach maturity slightly later.
Yeah, so I guess he's might still be... I don't know. Anyways. But yeah, Goddard... or Sebastian gave Goddard a bit of a little... I don't know, TEDx talk on the Rangers, their duties, and that he should hone his senses, his knowledge base, and stuff like that. And then Goddard was like, understood. I will complete the task set before me. Goddard's so cool. But he did leave, and then Sebastian left Jericho, mentioning that, he's as crazy as someone he knows, which is sort of an accolade, or an insult, or an honor? I don't know. Take it however you will. I've yet to actually roleplay with this other ranger that Sebastian knows, so I don't know. Her name's Claire. I'm afraid of her. He did go into the... it's not really the officer's quarters, because I think it's just the watchman's quarters. Bumped into Seven, who clearly didn't remember him. Sebastian and Seven worked on an operation outside of Andorra the better part of a decade ago, in which a Dark One ran into the wall of light surrounding the City of Light and got funnily incinerated. But yeah, they caught up, if you can call it that. Seven swore up and down that I'm not gonna forget you this time. He wrote an @1 in history. He's gonna totally fucking forget. But Sebastian was asking where Riker was. He was in the med bay, and Sebastian left Seven, took his leave, etc. And then talked with Captain Riker, who was getting some old wounds checked up on, ones that opened back up, I guess. He did run to Sister of Light Rayla, and the two of them had a talk on orcs, their status, their stereotypes, the deservedness of such. Normal conversation for someone you just met 3 minutes ago. And, talked to Captain Riker about his again, not really assignment, but the help he'll be providing here, as well as going over the details on the exhibition match, which Sebastian is... that is an actual assignment. That is a job he is out here for, is to catch stuff for the exhibition match. And, news got disseminated around about the news about, Eastwatch, the news about that recruit that used a gun somehow. There is one of the 8 Barons that got supplanted, which probably has very little bearing for most people in the call, but we'll get there when we get there. And then Riker brought him over to the barracks, where he introduced Sebastian to Gregor, Briggy, Doran, and Poe. And, got the rundown of, why Sebastian's here. He's here to help around the compound, as well as low-key do some scouting for the Rangers, because the numbers aren't doing so hot these days. Remind people that sometimes you might not want to join the Rangers, and sometimes you have to get reminded that it has to be you, because you're one of the few people skilled enough to be in the Rangers. Just a gentle reminder. So, that's low-key one of the reasons he's out here. it was detected that he's not exactly thrilled at being out here. He thinks that being assigned out to the Chrysantine Hold might be a really bad turn for his career path. But what's the fucking Clone Wars line? Good soldiers follow orders, something like that. So he's out here regardless. And then he talked to Doran about what happened with everyone, like what happened at the ritual and all that weird stuff. And Doran was like, "Do you know physics?" To which Sebastian could sort of say yes with a +4 intelligence. And that's where we end the session.
Indeed, it is. Did the music stop?
It did.
It did.
Is that what happened?
How tragic.
I did not loop.
Hmm.
But I thought we already turned on loop though. Here,
Well, clearly you didn't.
Well, it was on from before, I thought. God.
Let's think.
It went down yesterday after Sesh for us, so.
Oh no. Don't say that.
Well, no, it went down like for it went down in terms of its online stats, not down because it was taken down by copyright.
Yeah, it was down for maintenance.
Maintenance. It said it's playing the song, but I don't hear anything.
Says you need to vote again.
Well, that's what the repeat about. I'm trying to get the song here. Let's do that.
Turn it back on.